Welcome back to Midlife Crisisses. I'm Tyson, one of the hosts. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. All of that stuff helps us continue to do this podcast, and we would appreciate if you would continue to do that each and every episode. We love you guys so much. We want to keep doing this, and that is one of the ways to guarantee. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Guarantee it. Yeah,
okay, that we will keep doing this. So smash that subscribe button, that like button, that follow button, whatever buttons are there, smash them all.
And we really want to hear from you guys too. We want to hear about your midlife crises. We want to know what kind of stuff you are going through so that we can talk about it and share our insights about trying to survive this bull as well. So
let's get into it.
How do you know that you're going through a midlife crisis? Was there like a certain moment, a certain epiphany where you realized that you were in the middle of a midlife crisis?
I can't just hit reset because I can't stop paying my mortgage. When I am going through that, I'm not like, this is a crisis. But then when I step back, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in a slump.
I feel like the crisis is like, people point to it as like a moment, but I think it's almost like a storm. I think you should be questioning a little bit about your life, but that doesn't have to be at 40 or 45 or 50.
Welcome back to the Midlife Crisisses podcast. We talk all things midlife crisis, what we're going through, how we're executing, and whether or not it's working for us. I'm one of the co-hosts, Tyson Apostol, here with my other two co-hosts, Bradley. What's up?
True, that's true. Man, I got to tell you, I've got some slight crises going on right now. I got a gold chain. I don't know, do I wear it in? Do I wear it out? I'm sure we'll get to that later. There's more pressing matters. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, father of a couple of kids, just trying to figure things out myself. Content creator, run my own business that has its highs and lows and all that kind of stuff as well. But love being on here. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the show. We've already started getting some, it's not fan mail because it's not mail, but we get some comments and some DMs on our Instagram at Midlife Crisisses. Make sure you go and follow us there as well. But I'm excited because William sent us a video the other day, and he seemed like he was feeling pretty good. He was feeling himself with his new haircut and his shoes. So I'm excited for what that's generated inside of him for a question today. So William, what's up, man?
A haircut is important, and I am loving it. So
you
you're
look
right.
great. You look great.
And I got a pair of Jordans too, and I got a pair of Jordans for my daughter. So we're starting it off pretty good.
Are they matching?
No, hers are pink, mine are blue, but close enough.
Okay.
And
nice.
Bradley
That's a
is
perfect
not
midlife crisis shoe.
Absolutely. I've got 3 now, and I'm gonna get a lot more.
Yes. Yes, buying happiness.
Bradley is not joking about the chain being a midlife crisis for him.
No.
There's been many email, text chains about it, all kinds of difficulties, the thickness, the length, inside, outside. So we're rooting for you, Bradley.
Thank you.
Yeah, my professional opinion, and it's not an insult.
Okay.
It's short enough and it's thin enough that you can wear it on the outside like that.
Okay, that I can.
You can.
You've got approval.
Yeah.
Right. All right. It felt versatile with kind of this, like the black shirt and the denim or whatever. I was like, all right, it does feel a little 90s boy band, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's what we're all getting back into.
Yeah.
The Chain Gang approves.
The Chain Gang approves.
So my question today is, I was thinking of what we wanted to talk about today, and I was thinking of, the big midlife crisis that I've been going through in the last year. I recently got divorced last May, and I'm a single daughter to a 4-year-old. So it's been a lot.
You're a single dad to a daughter.
You said
you're not a single daughter.
I did. Hold on. Rewind. And I'm a single dad to a 4-year-old. So a lot of adjusting. And that's why we started this podcast in some ways. So it's been really cathartic for me. But my question today is, how do you know that you're going through a midlife crisis? And was there like a certain moment, a certain epiphany where you realized that you were in the middle of a midlife crisis? And like for other people who are out there, what kind of thoughts, behaviors might be somewhat of a symptom or give you a hint that, you're probably going through some sort of a midlife crisis there? Because I've been through 2 now when I was thinking about this. There's the one I'm going through now, and then there's one that happened a while ago. I don't know if it maybe quarter life crisis or whatever. and they came from really different places. And I realized that they were happening at different times and really different scenarios. So I thought it would be cool to talk about that with my experience, and then also kind of listen to what you guys, how you kind of know, and hopefully get some audience feedback too about kind of what their wake up moment was where they realized, hey, I'm going through something here.
I'm going to actually see what Chat GPT says are the
signs of a midlife
ways
crisis.
To know. Yeah. So Tyson, while I'm doing that, you can talk if you want.
I mean, for me, I've never had like a moment where I was like, everything's broken. Like that's never, or like, but the moments that I have are everything is overwhelming right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't just hit reset because I can't stop paying my mortgage for 6 months because I just don't want to. Like you can't do any of that stuff. So then it's like a weird hole that you're in of like, I got to run everybody around town. Then I got to pay all the bills. Oh, and more bills just keep coming in. And I don't want to exercise anymore because I'm not motivated to do that. I just want to sit on the couch and not pay any of the bills. And for me, I've never, like, when I am going through that, I'm not like, this is a crisis. But then when I step back and look at it from, try to be like a third party view of what I'm doing, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in a slump. So for me personally, my midlife things are more of just slumpy moments in my life where I'm just overwhelmed by having to, or feeling like I'm having to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had a catastrophic. I hadn't yet. I haven't had a catastrophic midlife incident where the wheels just came off, and I had to buy a Corvette. That hasn't.
I also think the crisis is, so stereotypical, and I'll tell you what ChatGPT has to say in just a second. But I feel like the crisis is like, people point to it as like a moment, but I think it's almost like a storm. And like the storm like ebbs and flows a little bit, right? Like we're just in a moment where, I'll look outside, it'll be like sprinkling, and then 20 minutes later, like the wind is howling and the rain is pouring, and then it slows up a little bit. And it's kind of like, at least for me, there's like an ebb and flow of it. And that's why I think you can have a quarter life crisis without like a major thing happening. You don't have to have had like someone close to you die to create this moment, or to have you get in a wreck and now you're paralyzed. Quarter life crisis, I think it comes out of a lot of internal
that would be
identity.
A crisis, though.
That would be a huge crisis.
Major crisis.
Yeah. Just keeping it positive. All right. So here's what.
That's a good analogy, though. I like that storm analogy. That's good.
Yeah. And I was even going to add on to that natural disasters. It could be an earthquake that's catastrophic. Could also be a typhoon. Could be fires throughout, wildfires, pandemics.
I like we're just brainstorming natural causes and disasters. It's great. That's great. Okay, ChatGPT, the theologian philosopher. Here's the top 10. Okay, so here's the prompt. Give me a short list of 10 signs that a man is going through a midlife crisis with scientific backing. It's saying a midlife crisis can manifest in different ways, driven by psychological and biological changes. Here are the 10 signs backed by research in psychology and behavioral science. Number 1, sudden obsession with appearance. All of a sudden you care about what you look like, increased changes in grooming, fashion. Ooh. Number 2, a drastic career change. You quit a long-held job, you're seeking a totally different career path because you're not satisfied.
Yeah.
And there is, the previous was American Psychological Association's Harvard Business Review. I'm not going to give you all of them, but there's backing here, folk. Impulsive spending, making an irrational financial decision, buying expensive cars or luxury items. Increased risk-taking, engaging in reckless behaviors like gambling, excessive drinking, or talking a lot with Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, dissatisfaction in relationships, questioning long-term relationships or suddenly seeking new romantic partners. Depression or anxiety. I think you were talking about that a little bit. Mood swings, feelings of emptiness, or existential dread. It's a great name for a podcast too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 7, nostalgia and regret. Frequently reminiscing about your youth or regretting your past life choices. You coming up, buddy? Come on up. Number 8, feeling trapped and craving independence. Oh, this is desire for more freedom. I got to get out of here. I'm feeling trapped and craving independence. Number 9, unusual fatigue or health concerns. You're becoming hyper aware of aging and physical deterioration. And number 10, new hobbies or radical changes in interests, developing unexpected passions. What else
like
does that say?
researching World War II. Isn't that the popular one where they're like all of a sudden I'm buying World War II history books and stuff.
My dad with World War II history, submarines. He's reading about the Japanese generals writing autobiographies.
Yeah.
This is a firsthand account of a pilot who was stranded. I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, he's always like
Midlife
history,
crisis
but
though, or is that just getting old?
So that's what I was going to say, because a lot of these things I don't think are necessarily bad. I think you should be questioning a little bit about your life, but that doesn't have to be at 40 or 45 or 50.
Yeah.
But maybe if you've got a good friend and all of a sudden, you start seeing some of those extreme moments happen, maybe the extremity,
Yeah.
the extremeness. I don't know what the word is.
I think when you're listening to this list, when I'm listening to it, the word that comes up is dissatisfaction with how you look, with your health, with your finances, with your job, with your relationship, with your family, with your
friends.
Yeah, all that. That's what it comes down to. Like,
William's
so
got an axe to grind. You see his face on those,
and it's a recognition of that. So it's realizing. So that's the moment where you're just like, I don't like that, or that, or that, or that. Is there something better on all of those? Let me find out.
Yeah. And maybe the midlifeness of it is well, am I going to just keep doing this for the rest of my life? The idea that maybe I don't have that much longer. Do I want to stay in this dissatisfied position, or do I make a change?
Right. Yeah.
And for me, I think we've kind of talked about this in previous episode, but it's like the external versus the internal sources of what's going on in your life. Because I think that a lot of the things on that list and what you're talking about are more internal. Like, hey, I'm dissatisfied with this relationship. I feel weird. Whereas the one that I'm going through now was because things were done to me. So it could have been like an illness. It could have been a death in the family. It could be a divorce
or
something like that, where you're
on the receiving end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're kind of thrown into the crisis. Versus the opposite, where it might be monotony. It might be just like feeling like you're in Groundhog's Day and things are going the same forever, and you don't want it to be like that, and you want some sort of change. So I think there's kind of like a dichotomy, the two different ways that you might end up experiencing a crisis. And then I think that with the external ones, like things that are done to you, it might be pretty obvious to you that things are messed up, because everything in your life is getting thrown into chaos. Whereas on the other side, it might really sneak up on you. And that's kind of what I'm asking too, is what is that moment where you realize because things could be creeping up on you for a long time. And then what is it that makes you suddenly realize, oh shit, this is, I need to change. This is something's going on here. It's time for me to do something else.
I think on a lot of those, there's just it's a slow build to then action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. It pays fine. I can't leave. It pays fine. I can't leave. And then your boss asks you for something too absurd on one day, and you're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I don't know.
Not be here.
Anything else.
Not be here. And then that triggers something where you go home. You're like, oh shit, dude.
Burn it all down.
Now I don't have a paying job. And now what am I? And it's not you're not acting irrationally in those moments. You just need that poke or prod to take action on that thing. And then I think that from my perspective, that's what I think is happening. But
yeah, for me, when I was going through the kind of the internal one, when the dissatisfied, want to blow things up, not happy with it, what the biggest symptom was, or the biggest hint, or whatever you want to call it, was sleep. I wasn't able to sleep. I never had any trouble sleeping before. And then suddenly I'm just lying in bed, thinking about things. And that got worse and worse. And then it was like the time to light that match and blow it all up. That's kind of how the main symptom that I recognized was the sleep part.
Okay. And then did you have like a moment where you just like got up after not sleeping and were just like, screw it, blowing it all up right now?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a bit of a slow build, but then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have people in your lives who have done those big impulsive things, whether it is the purchase or the quitting the job or the leaving the family or anything like that around you? I haven't really seen that yet, at least in my kind of medium to close circles.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I just see the Corvette Club drive past once in a while, and they're
on their way to the Tommy Bahama meetup.
Yeah, but they're the old guys who are just like doing it socially.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it too is I think your social circle. You know how they're like hang out with people that you are on trajectory with, and birds of a feather, and it's a natural thing too. It's like I wouldn't hang out with somebody who's just like constantly going through it, and it's not because I wouldn't want to be supportive.
Hey,
and if something happened, I mean, but you're going through it, but you're in control of it.
We're kind of sharing the duties. Tyson and I are splitting the emotional carrying of William.
But it just I wouldn't vibe with somebody who was always in a panic about their life and it blowing up and then purposely blowing up their spot every chance they got. I just don't think that we would ever come together tight enough that would be my friend group. And like my friend group will have like a moment where, you know, somebody like loses a ton of weight because they realize they were getting out. Oh, and that type of stuff is also midlife crisis. And that stuff's like, yeah, that's all happening. But I don't have anybody close to me who is just like quit their job, bought a brand new car, did a thing, destroyed every relationship they've ever known because they just wanted like the hardest refresh possible, alienates everybody, moves to a foreign country. Thailand would be probably where they'd go.
Sure.
All of it. Yeah. I haven't.
Chasing the lotus.
Yes, I haven't. So I haven't. I don't know. I don't know. I've seen people like that I'm associated with, or I wouldn't say close friends with, where I'm like, oh, okay, they're going through a thing.
I also wonder if it. Oh, sorry, William, go ahead.
Good. I was just gonna say, I think that some of that is contagious too. So you're talking about within friend groups.
That's a good way to say it.
Losing weight. It could be, buying a new car, whatever. But a lot of that is contagious. And there's studies out there about like divorce. Like the more people you know who are divorced, the more chances of you getting the higher your chances of getting divorced are. And same with, your parents are divorced, you have a lot higher chances of getting divorced. So I think there's some sort of social component too. And it's like if you're in a friend group and then you see your friends start blowing shit up and then they're happier, like, I don't know. I think that might be contagious too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think some of it might be, at least for us, as we've lived more unique lives than just like a standard, stereotypical, I worked in one job for 15 years. I lived in the same house. I think some of that drudgery would definitely drive me to be like, this is it. That's all that life has to offer. But I've been fortunate enough. It hasn't been easy from any financial standpoint, but to move around a lot, meet a lot of people, travel. So I feel like the spice of life has been kind of along the way, instead of that concept of like, I'm going to work in one job until I can retire and then I'll have fun, then I'll start living, and people start realizing that's not guaranteed anymore either.
And then they're just so sick of waiting for it, and that Groundhog Day syndrome where things are just the same for so long, and then they need to make something happen. And maybe it is something small, but it could also be something really big that changes everything. Yeah. Ditching all the relationships and everything.
Yeah. I also think our generation, we're different than our parents. Our parents were more like that. Like, go get a corporate job, trust in the corporation. They always take care of you.
Yeah.
And then in 30 to 40 years of that,
wild,
you can take a break and travel and see the world when you're 90. And now our generation is more hustlers, more entrepreneurs, more people that are just like doing their own thing on their own, getting contract jobs, stuff like that. And so it's less, I think I feel like when I was a kid, all of my parents' friends were all like corporate people or in some pretty standard job setting.
Right.
And now you can't even begin to guess what somebody does to earn a living. And so I think
like
our
when
generation,
when you try to explain it to your dad, you've
like
said
what
that
I
before.
do. Yeah. Or even like a grandparent. What do you do for a
forget
living?
that.
Yeah. Have you heard of podcasting and influencing? And
my dad is still figuring out the podcast, but I think that he's figured out how to listen to them now.
Good.
So that's
What's up, Dad?
If our podcast has done anything, it's taught my dad how to listen to podcasts.
Whoa. Yes. And
because
bring him out of
it was really hard for him.
I bet. Yeah, so I think our generation is different, and the kids younger than us, it's going to be even different for them. And there's just going to be different ways to probably execute on a midlife crisis and different midlife crises in general, things to crisis about. So we might be into no man's land here with the way that we function now as a society as 40 plus year old guys who were like the front end of the generations of just doing whatever to make a living.
Yeah. I just looked up real quick because I was curious, like, have the percentage of midlife crises changed over time? That was through Google. And it was just saying that the research suggests that experiencing of a significant crisis in midlife is not as common as portrayed. And there's with only 10 to 20% of people reporting it. And there is evidence that the perception of midlife and the timing of life milestones are shifting. And I think that's a good point too, because what we might start seeing is midlife crisis is happening at like 50. Because if you're not, people are getting married later, jobs are later, financial stability is coming later, everything's kind of getting pushed. So there is a chance that we're kind of early on that midlife crisis wave. That the following generation might be experiencing that more like 50, 55. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating, but if everything's getting pushed back, then that would assume that does too.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too that would contribute to that is we look younger now than 40-year-olds looked.
Oh, it's hilarious when
50
you go back
years ago.
What's the thing about the Golden Girls?
Yeah.
The Golden Girls were supposed to be, how old were they supposed to be?
Like 60.
I think less than that. I think they were supposed to be younger than that. They looked like they were 120.
Yeah.
It was like, Kirsten was telling me about this. How old were the Golden Girls supposed to be? Number one Google question. We're meant to be in their late 50s.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm playing pickleball with guys in their late 50s, and they don't look like a Golden Girl.
Yeah.
And that, so I think that also contributes when you're like, okay, well, look at so-and-so. And you're like, yeah, they look pretty good you're like Demi Moore. And you're like, okay, she's 70 now. Like, I don't know what her age is, but so I think that pushes it. And I also think that changes your mindset a little bit. Because even when I was a kid and I was like, Mom, do you feel old? And she was like 29 or 35 or 40 or something.
Oh, when you're a kid, 30 is 100. Yeah, I mean, it's just so old.
And they're like, no, I still feel like a kid. I was like, how can that be? And now I'm at 45 and I'm
my mom's a witch.
I feel the same as I did as a teenager, goofing around and being funny and doing that stuff. So I get it. But also, I don't know if I feel like we're not going to look as old as the Golden Girls when we're in our 50s.
I think that's true. I want, but that maybe to that point too, maybe things get pushed a little. Yeah. I mean, there's never been more products, right? For your face, your hair. We were talking about this last episode, like lipo, like all the different things to extend your youth.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to look younger, longer, be younger, longer, all this kind of stuff. So maybe it just ends up pushing that crisis. And if you don't have a traditional job, I think that's one of the major get me out of here things for people. Yeah. I think between maybe family relationships, jobs, and like where you live, I feel like the job is the thing where you're like, I've 30 years of this thing.
Yeah.
And then, now what? I think the now what is a question that people are having to ask. I wonder. I would love to find out from someone who would say that they have actually gone through like a full crisis. Is it easier now to kind of go through that because there's like support groups and there's like things to turn to, or is it harder now because it's like you look on social media and it seems like everyone has everything all together, right? It just seems like you're even more lonely than ever before. I don't know.
Yeah, I assume it's the same. I think, it's like some people want to hide that to keep it to themselves, that they're going through some stuff. Some people like to talk about it. Some people
do a podcast about it.
Some people do a podcast about it. Some people get
whatever
their
you can
cut.
do. Some people buy a chain. Some people, there's all kinds of crises.
Yes.
So Bradley, did you ever have a moment that you realized you might be having a midlife crisis?
That's a great question. I don't think there's been... to Tyson's point, I don't feel like I'm old enough to have a midlife crisis, other than these like physical deteriorations, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. Where it's kind of like, oh, like my back is sore. It takes me, 2 months to recover from pulling a hamstring when I raced my kid. Those types of things. Those are the things that kind of linger. But I think there's not anything that has stuck out to me like, I've got to change it this second, or it's like I haven't gotten to that precipice. But I will say and we've talked about this a bunch of episodes ago. There's something inside me that's like, I want to have a physical business. What I do is so creative and it's in my brain. And if something happens to my brain, it kind of all goes away, right? That's the thing. So I've also started thinking about, could that be a pivot point in my life? Like, do I, coffee shop, or I've actually thought a lot about like self-serve car washes. Basically, like I love cars and it's like a vending machine of cars.
Yeah.
Could that be something that would be like, the next chapter? Not so much a crisis. And so it's a slow burn. I've been looking into it. I've been doing some research, crunching some numbers, but I haven't gotten to the point where I'm flipping the table, to like change everything.
Burn everything down. I'll figure out the car wash once the dust settles.
What was that movie? It was like The Something Man. It was like he was totally disgruntled, and he goes on it
with Michael Douglas.
Yes,
Michael Douglas, and he has a baseball
exactly
bat.
Right. Yes,
he quits his job. He goes to the office
100%.
job, and then he just quits his office job, and he gets fired or something.
Yeah,
and
he goes on a tear.
Goes on a tear, gets a baseball bat from somewhere. People try to mug him, and he's just like, I have
not the right day.
Yeah. Not the right day. Yeah.
And he just beats the crap out of them.
Office space, is that another midlife crisis?
Yes. Office
100%.
space is another midlife crisis. So 100%. And he just goes and decides he's just going to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
He goes in and tells them that why didn't you come to work? I didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow. That's so refreshing.
Yeah. You've been missing some work. I wouldn't say missing, Bob.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a fine line then between like a pivot and a crisis, because you can also blow up stuff or change everything without it being like dramatic and crazy, like kind of what you're talking about, Bradley, of starting a new business or
working
like
towards
leaving one career for another. So there's kind of a bit of a overlap too between, a pivot in your life and in your career versus a midlife crisis. And I wonder if some of those symptoms have to do with that, like as far as depression, not sleeping, like do those accompany pivots too, or are those more
I think
tied
another
to midlife crisis?
I think something else to consider is like, I'm thinking about the small stuff. Like I want another tattoo. I've already been emailing with this tattoo guy about it. I'm like, I'm getting a chain. Kirsten's role in that has been very like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And she's like, okay, you do you, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you create a lot of pushback in those situations, if you have a spouse or a partner or a best friend who's like, dude, I'm going to go get the Corvette, and you push hard against it, we're giving Corvette a bad name, but the idea being
Camaro,
like,
you can do Camaro too.
Camaro's even
Switch
worse,
it up.
honestly, between the two. Please just get a
Charger.
Corvette. It's
Dodge
now
Charger.
finally good.
It's
The Charger, the official car of Atlanta's freeway accidents. People are like 200 miles an hour in those for no reason at all on a Friday at 5. But I think that's an important element too, because you can really move a crisis up quickly if you get a lot of pushback or somebody being like, that's stupid, or like, I think if I would feel almost more emboldened if somebody, it's like, I don't know, I'm thinking about switching careers. Don't do that. It's like, well, at least hear me out.
Yeah. I'm quitting now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, really? You don't think I'm going to do it? I don't think you're going to do it. Boom. Yeah. Just did it.
Why not just keep the safe thing?
Yeah. So I think that's something to be in there as well. Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents were like, you're moving to LA? When I was like, I'm graduating college, they're like, you're moving to LA? Okay. It was like a year in. They're like, you coming home? I'm like, no, okay. And then we were like, we finally got a stable job in Phoenix. I was hosting a show, getting a check every 2 weeks. And I was like, I think we're moving to New York. And they're like, why? And I was like, because we only live once and we've always wanted to live in the city and we love it. And they're like, but you have they didn't say it this way, but they were saying, you have a stable job. You have to raise a family. Think about your family. And, I am. In fact, I saw this great, I think I sent it to you guys on the Midlife Crisis Instagram page. But,
one sec.
Oh, yeah.
I got to pee so bad.
Okay.
Keep your thought, though. Keep your thought.
Phil, definitely keep this in. Tyson has to pee. People were wondering. That was one of the questions we got in a DM. Does Tyson pee? And I didn't know how to answer that because I never known him to go before.
Well, he's getting older, so.
So true. He's a step away from just a bag under the desk. I like that shirt, by the way, or sweater.
Thanks, buddy. Sure.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's a good cut for you.
It's that company I was talking about, that Murano Italian.
Oh, yeah. Murano. I'll have to look them up.
They're really good.
Is that online? Or
Probably,
did you buy it in
but
a
I
store?
got it at Sears or not Sears.
Oh, Belk or something.
Yeah.
I got it at Sears Roebuck. I got it there with my Craftsman tools.
Okay.
All right. Oh yeah. So I saw this post and someone said, like, it was one of these montagey posts with text on screen, but it was like, you say you would die for your kids, but will you live for them? And it was like, will you take care of yourself? Will you take your wife on dates? Will you show them how to be loved?
It's just easier to die.
It is. That's the idea. So I think sometimes with that idea is like, my parents were like, you got to think about your family. It's like, I am. We're doing this amazing experience together. And sure, we don't have it all figured out, but like, that's a part of how we live our lives, So anyway, all that to say, it is easy to hear those voices on the outside. And I think we, as trusted people of friends who may be going through it or through something similar, I think it's better to listen than to give advice right away, because I think that can actually stoke the crisis even harder.
Yeah. There's definitely, especially some personality types, if you tell them to do something, they're always going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So can't you just manipulate them?
Yeah.
Tyson, the ultimate survivor. Guys, you can take Tyson off the island, but you can't take the island off of Tyson. Boom. Can't you just manipulate them? This is why your daughters love you more. That's what we talked about last week, and I'm sure it hasn't changed. Except you were going to implement something where you just told them to like leave you alone or something.
I was going to be meaner. I was going to be meaner.
To push them toward Rachel.
Yeah. That
didn't work.
I didn't really do that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah, listening is good and being there. And I do like that, what you said though, Bradley, because it does, like, I used to live like that all the time. Like what? Just whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You only live once. Let's go see it. Let's go do it. And now that I'm a dad, and I mean, I can't just reset everything every time and just live out of the trunk of my car like I could. But even things that I did before, I'm like, we can't do that. It's too dangerous. There's too big of a risk that, we're going to be in a bad part of the world and something could happen. Whereas before I was just like, I'm just going to skip through this, and it's dangerous. Maybe, who knows? And now I'm like, no. We can't go there. That's dangerous. And they're like, didn't you used to be there all the time? Yeah, I used to. But so I don't know. It's yeah.
I also think it's getting older and things becoming more monotonous. Like there's definitely that aspect of it as far as taking danger into consideration. But it's also, there's a lot of things that I used to be so stoked about, but now I'm less stoked about because I've already done them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with travel, for instance, I still love traveling, but I've also traveled a lot. So it's just a lot less exciting than it used to be.
Yeah. And you hate airports. Every time you go to an airport, you just hate it a little bit more. That's where I like to be when I get somewhere, but it's almost not worth going to the airport for.
But I used to love airports too. Like, I used to love everything about travel. Now, less and less things.
Yeah.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
I guess that is age. It is true. Like, you watch your kids and they're so pumped about every single thing. And you get to this thing where it's like, I don't feel the highs or lows. You know, it's like,
I'm emotionally dead.
Yeah.
I don't feel the highs and lows.
I won $1 million. Thank you. You lost $50K. Thank you.
Darn it.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, exactly. You broke your leg. As long as I don't feel much pain, who cares? Yeah. And like, that's, and my kids are like, airplane, there's an airplane. It was like, yeah, we live by an airport. Stop. Everybody stop. There's another one. There's 6 jets in the sky at the same time.
Everyone count them. Look at it. Just six jets. Yeah. That's
Tell
hilarious.
me when we're passing cows. Tell me when we're passing cows. I'm like, I really envy this and admire this and wish I could be that still, but
just driving. Look, there's a real dinosaur. Anyway, for lunch today, guys, I think we're going to go
alien and Bigfoot holding hands, making out. Whatever.
It's fine. I got to get my coffee. We're going forward. We got places to go. Let's do this. That's really funny. Yeah. So here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Could a midlife crisis actually be good? Are there instances where people need to break out of that and they need to blow something up? It's got a negative connotation, but maybe it's not all bad.
No, I think it can be positive a lot of times. I've never viewed it as necessarily negative. Even talking and starting this podcast and stuff, I was like, we have midlife crises. That's what either puts you in situations or motivates you to change or anything like that. So, that
could even be its own episode too. That'd be fun to talk about. When is a midlife crisis good?
Yeah,
all right.
Lots of times.
We'll save it.
That's
a tease for you guys. We got something else coming.
Yeah, I think. Any takeaways from this episode?
I think as we were processing through, I think the idea of how important support is leading into a crisis as someone's going through something small, to give space, even if it impacts you a little bit, you can air your concerns, but doing it in a way that's respectful of that person. And sometimes that's just listening to, your buddy at coffee being like, man, I don't know, man, like I'm not feeling it with my wife anymore, and thinking it's, just to listen instead of jump to a conclusion or to advice or whatever. I think because that crisis could domino into other crises as well, and you want to just kind of take it as it goes. That's what I'm taking away.
Yeah. And the original question was like, how do you know you're in the middle of a midlife crisis? And I think that it's all about paying attention to yourself and like things that have changed dramatically in the way that you feel, the things that you do, and especially how you feel about important things in your life like work and family, and kind of being in tune with those things and then realizing when there's a big dramatic change in them. And that's how you might know that you're in the middle of a midlife crisis. And talking to your friends and family and like Bradley's saying too, not necessarily listening if you're going through it, but sharing, trying to reach out to people and sharing these changes that you're experiencing and seeing what they think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like the drastic ones or something like that, I recognize, but it's the smaller things that I don't fully recognize until either in the future or if I really am like, take a step back and look at it. So I think you can listen to your friends and family. They probably will tell you a little bit if you're going through something. Like I've had moments where Rachel's like, you seem like you're in a funk. And so those moments are like, oh yeah, I am. Can I sit on the couch for just 2 more days straight and then I'll be good? Or, yeah, I don't know. I think, listen when someone's going through it, but also listen to people around you when maybe you don't recognize that you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So
bringing the heat.
That's it. Thanks all for tuning in. Yeah. We'll have more next week. And I think we should get into crises that are positive or can be, or maybe maybe if you are an optimist, you can view most of these crises as net positives. So
and I would love to hear your guys' wake up calls when you knew you were going through a midlife crisis, or kind of what the symptoms were for you when you started to realize something was going on.
For our audience.
Love for you guys to message us, send us a comment, whatever. And if there's some cool ones that come in, we'd like to share them on the air too. So let us know what your wake up moment was when you realized you were going through a crisis. And we can't wait to hear them.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe too, because that way you can get us back again each week in your ears.
If it looks like one of us is going through a crisis and we don't know it, also feel free to chime in and let us know. Talk to you next week.
Sounds great.
Peace.